speaks generally of what will form the basis of our conversation now. But are you worried about the declining performance of candidates in external examinations recently? Let's start from there.
Thank you very much for that good question. I am worried as a person, and I'm worried for Nigeria. I'm worried about our future because since the JAMB result was released early this week, it has sparked a lot of debate around the country, and now here we are discussing it as a topical issue here on Nugget Radio. In summary, the result shows that only 75% of students who wrote that exam were able to make something that they can take to any tertiary institution. In fact, 75% of them scored below that. That means if you have 100 candidates, only 25 got good grades from 200 moving forward. 75%, that is a horrible a horrible statistic, because the students who took the exam, the candidates were 1,955,069, and so those who scored 320 and above were just 24%. In fact, 0.24%, not even up to 1, because only 4,756 scored from 320 and above. From 300 to 319 were only 7,658. That is not good enough. And then from 300 and above, only 12,414, representing 0.63%. And then you have those who scored from 250 to 291, being 73,441, representing 3.76%. And then those who scored 200 to 249 were 334,560, representing 17.11%. And then below this 75% that we're talking about, those who scored 160 to 199 scores out of 400 were 983,187, representing 50.29%. And then this 140 to 159 were a staggering 488,197, representing 24.97%. And then those who scored 120 to 139 are 57,419, representing 2.94. And then those who scored 100 to 119, only 3,820, and then below 100, 2,031. So if you look at that figure from those who scored below 200, adding up all the fractions, you have 75%. It's really crazy. Because if you look at the trend that has been happening for the past, I think 6 or 7 years, this is the worst performance in the history of JAMB. Because in 2018, when 1,502 candidates wrote, it was 74.1. And then there was an improvement in 2019 where we had 77.0. And then 2020, 79.8292. That was a slight improvement too. And then 2021, 87.2. 2022, 77.8. 2023, you have 76.6. And then 2024 is 76.1. This is really crazy, because you only find the year 2021 when there was that improvement of 87.2%.
Yes.
And you will notice what happened. Immediately this result was released, the Honorable Minister for Education, Dr. Tunji Alaus, has stated that it reflects the success that the government is achieving in fighting against exam malpractice. I don't believe that. Because I'm not sure he has done any research to come out with that kind of statement. As a serious government official, we shouldn't be rushing into making statements that can water down such a serious issue. Because is it that the government is fighting exam malpractice and therefore the candidates are failing the exam? I don't think that is a plus for the government of the day or anywhere in the world, because we cannot reduce fraud and then say that we are doing something positive. The student, the candidates should be improving in their performance, and then the government will now be praising itself and saying that because they are fighting exam malpractice and are taking these steps, this one, and therefore the improvement is being seen by people. So I don't believe in that, because this alarming rate of failure suggests some deeper systemic failures. So it's not just the crackdown on exam malpractice. It is not just about catching cheats. It is about why there is this massive failure, and it's reflecting for so many years. So it's a very serious worry to me. I know it's a very serious worry to education stakeholders, and even the psychological effect on those candidates, you cannot even measure or quantify it because they are running up and down trying to get into tertiary institutions, and here they have this setback. Government should be worried. Individuals should be worried. I'm worried.
And that is why we are here to discuss, to say our worries and see areas where the country generally can improve in our education system. Good background you have laid there. Now, Mr. Otsega, you are an educational administrator, a principal of a school. You train candidates, maybe prospective candidates, future candidates for this kind of examination. Talk to us. Are you also worried about the declining performance of candidates in these external examinations in the light of this recent UTME just released?
Thank you very much. To actually say I am not worried, I may be lying, and I think I am not just worried. Every Nigerian is worried about this poor performance. This analysis raises a valid concern about the quality of education in Nigeria. And every Nigerian is worried. Every stakeholder is worried. It's an alarming to see such a high percentage of students scoring below the pass mark. Where it shows what is obtainable in our country. And I believe this is is caused by so many factors. And I think this is a wake-up call for all Nigerians to come together to look at the causes of these poor scores and ensure it is corrected. Ensure all this is nipped at the bud so that Nigerian educational system will improve. I am really worried. Everybody is worried.
Now, further too.
I just wanted to add here that looking beyond even the immediate things that we're going to be discussing here.
Yes.
You see, this systemic failure is reflected in so many directions. It reveals that we are currently running a broken education system, especially at the basic level and post-basic. Basic from primary schools to secondary schools. But technically, as the Bureau for Education Quality Assurance in Benue State, established by His Excellency Father Dr. Hassan Yomialia, has put a wonderful Director General there, Taylor Francis, is implementing this basic 1 to 9, and then this post-basic. It means the system has broken. And if one is not careful, candidates will be failing even the JAMB before they even go to those centers even to write. And then Nigeria's future is at risk. That's another serious concern. I'm worried because if we cannot have people in large numbers who are getting good grades to move into tertiary institutions where your emphasis is on research, so that you can apply the research to the society, then there is something serious, because they don't have the skills for employment. Employers of labor have been worried because sometimes the same particular courses that candidates read and graduate from tertiary institutions, when they come to work, they have to train and retrain them before they can have those skills to work on those jobs. And then the social consequences are huge. when you don't have people transiting from basic and post-basic into tertiary school to have the skills to place them at the service to the society, they can't find their place in the society. They get frustrated, and then you see banditry, you see all kinds of social vices taking place all over the place. So if every day the society become more insecure, it's because the government is not doing enough. Not just fighting malpractice, as the Honorable Minister has stated. The government is not doing enough to transit people, to make them have a place in the society when is the opportunity.
All right. Now, Mr. Otsega,
Yes.
given that these are candidates that are eventually going to be admitted in our tertiary institutions of learning, universities, polytechnics, and even monotechnics as there are, does this actually speak well of the cut-off mark or point that we eventually be arrived at to admit these candidates? Should the standard be rising or declining?
It doesn't speak way at all. It doesn't. It doesn't. Because, like Father To has said, the future is at risk. Because we believe the future of every nation depends on the quality of the education, and the future of Nigeria also depends on the quality of our educational system. We must prioritize education. Taking these students who have performed this poorly to the university will mean will have a very serious negative effect when they are there. And I think it has been happening already. If you look at what is happening in Nigerian universities these days, it is no longer the way it used to be during our time. The standard keeps going down, going down. You see a graduate, I'm a school principal, sometimes they come for interview. You see somebody with a very nice result, first class, second class, upper, lower, and at the end, that particular graduate is not able to write a letter of application. So now, this is what the result will look like if these kind of students are admitted. They will not be able to pass because this is just JAMB. What they are going to face in the university is tougher, is higher than what the exam they have just taken. So I don't think the future is bright.
Farato actually alluded to what the Minister of Education stated, that it represents a fight against examination malpractice. Do you believe that it's as a result of the fight against examination malpractice that students did not score above even 200? Many of them, the mass failure, 1.5 million, scoring just below 200 in an examination that is over 400.
Well,
do you share in that thinking?
Not at all. The poor performance of students in JAMB examination can be attributed to several factors, and including the inadequate preparation by the students themselves. When the result was released on Monday, I saw so many comments on social that it is a reflection of what the teachers got during their time in JAMB. Somebody even said to the 160 that it shows that the teachers actually got less than 160 in their JAMB, and this is reflecting in the result of the students they have prepared. Where it's not just the teacher, so many factors can be responsible for this mass failure, and I don't think it is as a result of malpractice that the federal government is trying to do away with.
Yeah, I also want to.
Yes. Now, Farato, specifically, let's beyond the factors, the immediate factors which we may be looking at. I just want us to chip in, making these examinations computer-based as it is. Is it actually? Do you see it as a factor that is affecting the performance of the students due to the digital divide, as it were, the pen and paper compared to this computer-based approach?
Yeah, the conversion or transition from pen and paper to computer-based CBT may be one of the factors, but the blame should not be squarely on the candidates.
Okay.
The blame should be on the government, the regulatory bodies, and the providers of those services. Because if you go around and see where they're writing some of these exams, many students, sometimes they begin to write, those computers shut down. So digital infrastructure is also a major challenge. They may not come out to say it, but those few who are involved will understand. So JAM needs, for example, to work very hard and re-accredit some of the centers so that they will be on top of their game, because students wait for a long time to enter the exam hall. At a point in time, you go and you start writing, in 10 minutes the computer shut down, or you are unable to send your to submit your answers. The system for writing that exam is not even difficult, because if you look at it, you just use about 3 to 4 or 5 keys. So you don't need to have, it's user friendly. You don't even need to have a good knowledge of computer. You only need to know that you can just tap A, which is option A, B, option B, C, option C, this, and like that. And if you want to go back, the key is there. So basically, even just 5% knowledge of computer can make you to write the exam. I think there are many factors we should be looking at.
Yes, and let's look at them. I just wanted that to feature prominently top of it. Let's start with that. So let's dive into what factors you think are responsible for this mass failure.
Yeah, Ortega stated some of them, and I'm really happy that we're going to put some people on their toes and maybe on their hot seats today.
Including you, educational administrator.
Yes, I'm a regulator too.
Yes.
And I'm happy that the governor of Benue State is a step ahead of all others. I'm coming to show that to you very soon. And then, so there are many factors. They are systemic, they are institutional. And the first I want to identify is that of government failures. Government failures in terms of underfunding of education at various levels, both the primary, or what we say now basic, post-basic, and tertiary. There's no the budget I have been looking at in Benue State and across the country. None of the governors and the presidents have ever done what UNESCO wants in terms of budgetary allocation, 26% in the annual budget. What do? Sometimes it's a security and other things that concern them immediately. They push budget up to 30%, infrastructure. Of course, those things are important. But if you want to develop a nation, it's the human resources that you need to develop before you can transform a nation. So underfunding remains a very big challenge. And then inconsistent academic calendars. If you discover that because of labor unrest at various levels, this lower level of education, the basic and post-basic, there's usually strike every time, and then the children are losing study time. They don't follow what is happening, and before they know it, they are in exit classes and prepared to write JAM. So that's what I say. Some of them even fail JAM before they even enter the exam hall. And then there are poor policy implementation. We are now operating the 9-3-4 system of education. Even some government themselves don't even know that the years of primary education are now in 9 years. 9 years. They have basic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, and 9. So absolutely, there's no need for you starting a school now and then saying you want only a primary school. That is what Bureau for Education Quality Assurance is implementing. Foundation for knowledge, not just 6 years. Then you know that the school need to be funded, both government and private. In fact, those private people who have gone into education, some of them are even they don't have money. They want to fill in the gap created because government is on it, and then there is an attachment UBE, JSS 1, 2, and 3. There's nothing like that in the education system today. If you come to the Bureau for Education Quality Assurance, will guide you. The first years of basic education in Nigeria now is 9 years. So even primary schools need to be upgraded. Some of them that have only primary schools, you come to the office of implementing the education program, will guide you, and then you do an upgrade. But before that, we must inspect and check your facility to be sure you can offer a 9-year program leading to the award of basic education certificate exam. And then insecurity and the attacks in some of these schools, banditry and kidnapping, it has displaced a lot of, and it's a duty of government to protect citizens. So when people are scattered and are able to study well, but then the exam arrives, they have to write. And you cannot blame them because they are not the cause of those things. And then school failures. This is both for public and private. Go to some schools, even the graduates of those secondary schools are asked to continue teaching when they are not even trained teachers.